From Hollywood. Welcome to the Rat's Ass Podcast with Mojo Elliott.
And after 4 glorious days off, we are back to kick off year 2 of the Rat's Ass Podcast from the Mojo Studio on Hollywood and Vine. We start with a question today. Who's ready to go on another action-packed adventure?
Let's do it.
Here's what's on tap on the Wrap. All right, guess who has risen from the dead? When 3 commies get together, what could go wrong? New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, oh my. And there will be no more Nads in D.C. in 2026. Another round of head trauma is on the way. Today, we're going to play the movie mashup, plus our usual lunacy and loose behavior, including weird, wacky, and ridiculous people. That's what's happening today on the Rat's Ass Podcast for Wednesday, September 3rd. Thanks for hitting the play button and being here with us. All right, did you have a good Labor Day weekend? Mine was like Fight Club, man. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I will. You might remember I told you I've lived in my dojo, the Elliott Estate, for 25 years. I really don't know my neighbors. It's a California thing. I know my neighbors to the left, to the right, and across the street. Well, on Monday, Labor Day, a neighbor drops by and says, hey, we're going to throw a little block party barbecue. Do you want to come? And I was like, you know me, I'm not really one to go out and do this kind of stuff. He says, just drop by. Just drop by and see if you like it. Have some ribs. I don't eat ribs. But I said, okay, I'll see what I can do. So we go, and it's one of those things where it just turns out to be an amazing experience. I've met neighbors who I've been neighbors with for 25 years, only knew them by walking by or driving by. One guy had worked for NASA. Another guy had won a race at Daytona 500. Can't remember his name. Sorry about that. And then another guy built Chevrolets. And then my neighbor who threw the party, who I've had conversations with over the years, I had no idea that he was a TKE frat guy. Like me. We're actually frat brothers. Yep, Tau Kappa Epsilon, also known as Kappa K Girly. Yeah, generally on any fraternity row, the teaks are the party, the Animal House. I happen to be wearing an Animal House t-shirt. Actually, it was a Faber College shirt. And he looked at it, and that's how the whole conversation started. And we found out that we've been frat brothers here for 25 years and didn't know it. I guess maybe you should start every conversation with that as opposed to, hey, Mojo Elliott, libertarian. Maybe it should be Mojo Elliott, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Kappa K Girly. Maybe I'd meet more people that way. But he did admit to me that he's got a 38-foot yacht sitting in the marina, so I'm thinking toga party on the high seas coming soon. All right, let's get into the wrap and see what's going on today. All right, over Labor Day weekend, President Trump took some time to himself, probably still worked half days, 12 hours, but the deranged Democrats suffering from Trump derangement syndrome took the opportunity to float rumors that Trump had died. Very mature party that we're dealing with here. In fact, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was seen at an event saying, one day you're going to wake him, Trump's going to be gone. Like he was hoping it would happen. Now, if this doesn't prove to you that the Democrats have no ideas, no solutions, just propaganda, and just their typical daily pissing and moaning about Trump, then I don't know what to tell you. But this Democratic Party that exists today reminds me of the turd that just won't flush. No matter how many times you hit that lever, you're pressing it and you're flushing, that sucker still floats to the top, and you got to go get the plunger. In this case, the plunger is Donald Trump. All right, did you see where Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and Xi Jinping got together in China over the weekend? And I don't think they were playing Chinese checkers either. Probably more like the game of Risk. And have you ever played this board game, by the way, Risk, where the object of the game is to gain world domination? Now, it's been years since I've played, but I can tell you this. It wasn't good when 3 communist countries got together to wage war against the U.S. and Europe. Now, as I recall, to win this, when it happened, Europe had to become partners with the 3 communist countries and battle the USA. So this got me to thinking, what if this happened for real today? Can we trust Europe? I say no. So would they line up with Russia, North Korea, and China against the United States of America? And here we have a Democratic Party who we know loathes the United States. So I'm asking, would they actually sell out America to help China, Russia, and North Korea and Europe just because Donald Trump is our president? How's that for a conspiracy theory to start off year 2 of the Rat's Ass Podcast? Oh, we deliver them good, don't we? All right, to catch you up in New York, the turd sauce salesman, Laron Mamdani, he continues to deny he's a communist, and New Yorkers are falling for it hook, line, and sinker because all they see, they're just blinded by frozen rent and free stuff. All right, in Chicago, we've got a radical mayor in Brandon Johnson, and a lame-brained governor and J.B. Pritzker, who are refusing to get federal help with the murder problem they have in Chicago. And they've had this problem for years, by the way. This isn't new. But what is really puzzling, how Johnson and Pritzker refuse federal help, because they're fine as long as the stats are coming down. They're fine with people dying as long as they're showing improvement. 0 deaths, they could care less. Hey, the stats are coming down, so we don't need federal help. We don't need Trump in Chicago. Now, I can't find one person in Chicago who will openly admit they voted for Brandon Johnson, which is very telling to me. And as for J.B. Pritzker, you remember the scene in Animal House where Dean Wormer tells Kent Dwarfman or Flounder that fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life? Well, apparently J.B. has never seen the movie. Now, here in Los Angeles, our slumlord Governor Gavin Newsom continues to act like California is the model for the rest of the United States, and he's been handpicked by God to turn America into the Golden State. Yeah. Now, I look at these Democratic leaders in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, the 3 biggest cities in America, and I ask, how in the hell did we get here? How did we get with these lame-brained idiots? You can go to ChatGPT right now, and I implore you to do so, and ask, what are the 10 worst cities in America to live in when it comes to crime, economic opportunity, and poverty? All of them are Democratic-run cities. I took it a step further and I said, okay, give me the top 100 cities in America. I want to know how many are run by Democrats, how many are run by Republicans. 77 out of the top 100 cities in America are Democratic run. And you know what they all have in common? Crime, poverty, and lack of economic opportunity runs rampant. But America keeps voting for these folks. Why? I ask myself, why? It's kind of like having an abusive father, who keeps beating the hell out of you, but you keep giving him another chance because you think he's going to change his abusive ways. But eventually, he ends up beating your ass again. Senseless, just senseless nonsense. So, I think the mindset of America really needs to change, and maybe it is getting there. Maybe that's what we're seeing today is that mind shift, that mindset shifting a little bit. All right, are you ready for some exciting news? All right, Jerry Nadler, the Democratic U.S. representative from New York, is retiring after 33 years of committing political chaos. Nadler pretty much invented the old, hey, there's nothing to see here narrative, and he covered up for the Clintons for many, many years. But the scary part is, there could be somebody waiting in the wings to take his spot who's worse than Nadler. You just, it's hard to be optimistic. Very hard to be optimistic. So let's just kind of sober up here and get some liberal logic from the cool conservative.
It's tricky because when I was growing up, if you were homeschooled, you were a total weirdo. But now if you go to public school, you might be with some kids that identify as barn animals. Why is it at gender reveal parties, people only choose one of 2 colors? This might be hard for the pro-trans crowd to understand, but when a 5-year-old says they're a pirate, you don't chop their leg off. Just so you know, calling someone privileged because they're white is judging someone by the color of their skin. Ever notice that dogs only come in male and female, and even if you chop the balls off one, it's still a male?
Yeah, kick that nonsense around with your Fig Newtons today. Yeah, speaking of dogs, here comes my little fuzzy buddy, Jagger. What brings your cat-loving ass to the Mojo studio?
Well, hey, man, I just wanted to see how much longer you're going to be.
About 30 minutes. What you need?
Well, it's the hump day, and I'd kind of like to go out and get me some calico, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, didn't you just have some Siamese on Saturday night?
Yeah, but they're no fun, man. They just kind of lay there like nothing's happening, and I'm there working that ass like Mike Rowe on a backhoe and getting nothing.
So what's the difference with a calico?
Oh, man, when you're putting it to a calico, they're going...
So you like the...
Yeah, I like the... because it makes me feel like a stud puppy, like I'm working it and I'm getting some response, Then afterwards... when they climax and everything, they like to cuddle and go, and I like that.
Well, okay, give me a half hour and we'll go get you some calico, but aren't you sure you wouldn't like to have some Maine Coon instead?
Oh, man. Maine Coon? Oh, you know what they say. Once you had a Maine Coon, baby, you never go back. See your ass in the car.
Well, there he goes. Man's best friend.
You better keep that dry-humping mini-mutt away from me.
Mini-mutt?
Here is Mojo Elliott with Frat Sports.
He's a purebred. Now have him sick your ass if you're not careful, Alexa. All right, the NFL season is finally here. Week 1 getting underway tomorrow night when Dallas plays Philadelphia. On Friday, Kansas City plays the Chargers in Los Angeles. You can catch my week 1 picks, at the Rat's Ass Podcast blog. Every Wednesday, I'll get those done for you by 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But no, they can change all the way up to 30 minutes before game time, depending on injury reports and weather conditions. Now, naturally, I'm excited for the Raiders game on Sunday against New England. We meet our old coach, Josh McDaniels, who is back as the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. So I'm kind of curious to see what he draws up. But I got to take the emotion out of this one to make the pick. So I got a few hours before I drop my picks today. The Rat's Ass Podcast, we held our fantasy football draft yesterday, and I got to say I'm feeling pretty damn good about it. My core 5 are Joe Burrow, Brock Bowers, Jamar Chase, Kieran Williams, and the Eagles defense. Now, every draft, NFL Fantasy Board sends out a draft grade. I don't put a lot of stock in these, but they predicted me, they gave me an A, first of all, in the draft, predicted I would go 15-0 and win the championship. Now, I've had this happen before and got my ass kicked. Other times I've had really bad draft grades and won the championship, so there's no stock in these critiques, by the way. The team I have now that you'll find on the Rat's Ass Podcast blog is not the team it will be at the end of the season because injuries happen. You'll find players are having better years and other players you played that suck that you drop. Fantasy football players know how this works. But you can follow the Rats team on the Rat's Ass Podcast blog. I'll let you know who my starters are this Friday, but you know who the core 5 are. All right, checking out the chat box at ratsasspodcast.com. Rudy T. from Bowling Green, Kentucky asks, I thought you were nuts picking Ohio State over Texas, but you made a good call on that one. Yep, I took OSU by 4. Who do you like this weekend between Michigan and Oklahoma? Well, Oklahoma's been down the last couple of years, changing conferences. Third year could be positive year for them. It's going to be a tight game, but I'm going to go with Michigan on this one, and a close one. Jake H. in Norwood, Ohio. I'm curious to find out what your thoughts are about the Reds' rookie, Sal Stewart. I've watched Sal the past couple of games. I saw how he was tearing it up in the minor leagues, AA and AAA, but so many times Reds fans, they get a hold of a player like this, and they just hype until the Reds finally say, okay, we'll call him up. And they do. And the players can't hit shit. They just can't. Reese Hines was one that came up recently. Started out bashing home runs, and then all of a sudden they said, okay, don't throw this guy any fastballs. They start throwing the breaking stuff, and it's a wrap at that point. Watching Sal the past couple of days, I haven't been that impressed with him. I mean, the first time I looked at him, I said, oh my God, this guy looks like the guy that delivered my pizza on Sunday, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. My God, we've got Nacho Libre playing first base for the Reds right now. Nacho Libre. Hey, maybe it'll strike fear in the pitchers that he opposes. Who knows? But man, when you look at him, you're thinking, oh my God, that's Nacho Libre. All right, that's sports on the Wrap.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today we are playing the movie mashup for you. This is where I play 3 clips from 3 different movies, and you have to identify each movie they're from. Here we go.
You're a little man with a big mouth and a big chip.
They think he's a righteous dude.
I'm going to perform a procedure on you called milking the prostate.
All right, let's roll them again.
You're a little man with a big mouth and a big chip.
They think he's a righteous dude.
I'm going to perform a procedure on you called milking the prostate.
All right, think about it. Take a while. Think about it. I'll have the answer for you coming up on the podcast.
It's time for some loose behavior on the Rat's Ass Podcast.
Are you ready for some weird, wacky, and ridiculous people? All right, Dave Collins of Waynesboro, Tennessee was having money problems, and after watching the movie Pulp Fiction, he got this bright idea of robbing a coffee shop. So on a crowded night, Danny slipped on a ski mask, loaded up his .38, and proceeded to rob the coffee shop he had been a patron of for nearly 10 years. Now, where Danny screwed up is he didn't wear gloves. The owner recognized him from the tattoo on his knuckles that spelled out Dave Dog, D-A-W-G. Now, Dave may have got away with $379 that night, but he's now doing 10 years in the state pen with a butt buddy named Jerome.
Hey, heads up. Here comes your celebrity cheese.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell says Taylor Swift has an open invite to perform the halftime show at Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco in February. Now, Swift is yet to commit, but come on, we all see it. You saw it as soon as I said it. All the cards are lining up since they're getting married for her and Travis Kelce to tie the knot. She plays the halftime show, and guess who the 2 teams are? I don't know who it's going to be from the NFC, but probably the Chiefs from the AFC. You can smell it like the shit on the streets of San Francisco. All right, Charlie Sheen has a memoir called The Book of Sheen on the way, and his estranged 21-year-old daughter, Shammy Sheen. She is helping him promote the book's release by throwing shade at him, saying, "Dear old dad is an absentee father. They haven't spoken a year, haven't texted in 6 months. He's an absentee father." Now, this reeks of the old how to hype a book PR move that we've seen in previous years, where the estranged child claims to be a victim of a deranged father and in return picks up a percentage of the book profit. All right, Dancing with the Stars just announced its participants for the upcoming season, and they include Corey Feldman, Hilaria Baldwin, and ex-Conan O'Brien side effect Andy Richter. Now, I'm a little confused here. Is this Dancing with the Stars? Because it sure as hell looks like the cast for Dancing with the Degenerates to me. And as always, we love stories about Cardi B. How classy is Cardi B? She's celebrating being cleared of assault and battery charges by going on Instagram and doing a victory twerk. There's not a victory dance with her. It's a victory twerk. She actually dropped her pants and started shaking her ass for the camera. Now, while Cardi was busy twerking away, a 3.5 earthquake registered on the Richter scale in L.A. Yeah, it's true. So was it coincidence? But if you've ever wondered what a sack of cats looks like, all you have to do is watch Cardi B twerk.
What the hell kind of joke's that?
Well, I think pretty damn good one, to be honest with you. And would you believe Britney Spears has now been single for 196 days?
Oh, give us a rat's ass.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Email from our Gmail.
All right, as you know, I do not read your email in advance. My producer, Fleabag, forwards me your name, where you're from, and rewrites them so I can read them rapid fire and on the fly. No topic is ever off the table, and it is impossible to offend me. Donald W. from Laurel, Mississippi said, "What rock bands have you been listening to lately? I need something to energize myself, something new to energize me." Well, I'll tell you what, I know what you feel like. I've heard so much music over the years. There's times I dig and dig deep for stuff just to give me something new. A couple of weeks ago, I ran across Candlebox again. I was never a big fan of Candlebox's name because it's like Mick Mars said from Motley Crue, shitty name, shitty band. That's not the case with Candlebox. Still don't like the name, but Kevin Martin's a hell of a singer. Hell of a singer. Now, in 93, they had a couple of hits, and then they kind of disappeared after this. But I went back in and reconnected with Candlebox a couple of weeks ago, and my God, they've just gotten better and better and better over the years. So I'm recommending to go check out Candlebox again. Jack K. in Essex, Vermont. I wanted to thank you for recommending NVIDIA stock a few months ago. I bought it at 95, and it's now at about 170. What other stocks are you considering? God, you know, I'm not really considering anything right now. I kind of stay with the 5-6 that I own, and I just wait for them to pull back a little bit and buy more shares because I love the dividends. I'm a dividend guy. So I really watch AT&T closely. They've been around for a long time. They're not going anywhere, so I like the stability of the company. They've kind of revamped everything, and so I've been every pullback. When the VIX gets down around 12, 13, I know it's going to sell off, within a month or two, and I start buying shares on a 3-5% pullback. I'll start buying more shares because I anticipate AT&T increasing their 28 cents. It's at about 27. I think it's like 27 to 28 cents, something like that right now. In order to encourage investment, at some point they're going to raise that dividend, and when they do, that's a pay raise for me. All right, Candy D, Bloomington, Indiana. I don't sleep around, but I tend to date three or four guys at a time. Do you think this is abnormal behavior? Candy, it's your behavior. Who cares what anybody else thinks? You know, life's short. Have a good time and get out alive, baby. All right, Jason P., Medford, Oregon. My girlfriend of 2 years just dumped me because she isn't happy with my friends always hanging around, one in particular. I've got this weird feeling there is something going on between them. Do you think this is possible? Jason, in this life, I think anything is possible when it comes to people. I think you need to trust your instinct and seek it out. You got to investigate. Lou B., Winnipeg, Canada. What do you think about this idea about Canada becoming the 51st state of America? Lou, you guys are still talking about this in Canada? Really? I mean, this was Trump just being Trump. He was just trying to get your attention coming into office. And boy, if you guys are still talking about this, come on, stop it. All right, during the show on Friday, it was our first year anniversary show, we said we would do Kiss Me, Kill Me emails. At the end of every show, towards the end of every show, we're going to do a Kiss Me, Kill Me email. That's where you tell me what you like about the podcast and what you hate. All right, Amy F. from Youngstown, Ohio said, I like the podcast because you make me think politically. Well, hopefully my conspiracy theory gets you going today, Amy. What she hates, she says, I can do without hearing about men and their exploits to get threesomes with women. So let me ask, are you okay? Well, let me ask, how do you feel about men having threesomes?
That's just about enough of that.
All right, if you have any questions, observations, or comments, send them to me or my producer, Fleabag, at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. The more outrageous and salacious, the better.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today we're playing the movie mashup. Let's listen to the 3 clips again and see if you get them right.
You're a little man with a big mouth and a big
They
chip.
think he's a righteous dude.
I'm going to perform a procedure on you called milking the prostate.
All right, you got it figured out? If your guess is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Ferris Bueller, and Road Trip.
Yeah, baby.
Congratulations, buddy. You are correct, but if you missed it, go see a doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, I got to roll out of here. I'm teaching a cooking class today, of all things, on how to make naked pizza, or maybe it's making pizza naked. I don't know. I'll find out when I get there. But I do have one more thing for you. You can Google this one too, by the way. Did you know there is a species of fish named the slippery dick? But there is not one called the sloppy pussy. But damn it, you know what? There should be. There really should be.
That's just about enough of that.
I think I'm getting on Mom's nerves today. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
God, it was so nice not looking at your sexy little butt for 4 days.
Yes, it is sexy. And you know what? It was good not hearing your voice for 4 days. Did you do anything exciting?
It's none of your freaking business, podcaster, and don't you dare put me on mute.
Already done. You give me the lip, you get the mute. That's the way it works here on the Rat's Ass Podcast from now on. All right, welcome to Rat Nation. Max Myers of Lorain, Ohio, Deborah Peterson from Warwick, Rhode Island, and Sal Gutierrez from San Pedro, California, to the Resistance, those who email us but haven't joined the Rat Nation yet. We're at 511 members now. Diamond H, Manicato, Minnesota. Who names their son Diamond? Maybe it's his daughter. Probably a jeweler. Brian B, Lewiston, Idaho. Patty K from Pahrump, Nevada. Hope I said that right. And around the world to listeners in Salvador, Brazil, Kilkenny, Ireland, and Gothenburg, Sweden.
Now's your chance to be one of the few and the loud. Join Rat Nation at ratsasspodcast.com. Membership does have its rewards, you know.
Have you been to Sweden? All right, let's wrap this up here for the Rat's Ass Podcast. Go check out ratsasspodcast.com to get the entire Rat's Ass Podcast experience. You can listen to the podcast, rock out on Rat's Ass Rock TV, read the blog that's loaded with hot topicality. Plus, you can still join Rat Nation without having to qualify. We'll do this again on Friday, September 5th. Take care of each other, and thanks for stopping by. The Rat's Ass Podcast.
The conversation continues between podcasts on X and ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com.